Says we're live. Oh, seriously. I got ads on Rumble. Stop. There we go. Come on. All right. We are live on YouTube. I don't know if we're live. We're still not live on Rumble. I don't know why.
We're having trouble streaming to your destination. Is it possible the stream was ended or deleted at the destination?
Well,
this can also occur if the RTMP server URL or stream key is incorrect.
It's not, but I'm going to double check it, and I wonder if it just expired or something on me. So, Rumble. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to add it.
Chase is on. Yep,
yeah, right.
YouTube is good. Facebook and Rumble is a no-go.
Thanks, Chase. Facebook is a no-go.
He said Facebook and Rumble is a no-go.
Interesting. All right, hang on. Interesting. Right. So. Let's see. YouTube. According to this, YouTube's good. And we should now be up on Rumble, but I'm not sure.
He said YouTube was good.
Not YouTube, Facebook. Facebook is showing me good. I see the comments there.
We're having trouble streaming to your destination. Same message again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Got Facebook up now, he says.
Yeah. Rumble's just down. That's frustrating as all hell. All right. I can try and add it. Give me just a second. I'm gonna see if I can add it. I'm gonna give it one shot. If it doesn't add, then so be it. Well, I'm not signed in. Great. It says it ended. That's weird. Okay. Apologies, gents. I want to go live right now. I agree to the terms, as we always do. It's submitting.
SoCrates, where is Valkyria Airport? What's that close to?
Valkyria Airport is about 10 miles south of Melbourne International. It is where Florida Institute of Technology, I think most of their aircraft are based. Or at least they were, 20, 30 years ago. I guess 30 some years ago now.
Right. You went to...
Yeah, it's so one of the cool things about Florida is about every 10 nautical miles.
I have to go to the dashboard to edit the front end of this. I'll be right back.
All right, dude.
Yeah, no worries. About every 10 nautical miles on the east coast, there was a Navy outlying field.
Okay.
And Valkyria was one of those Navy outlying fields.
Oh, sweet.
I grew up in the town of Vero Beach, and I think you're probably familiar with the VRB identifier, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You've flown quite a bit down there, I'm sure, and around that area. And
Patrick Air Force Base up and down there.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, every 10 miles or so is Sebastian Airport. Are you familiar with Sebastian?
No.
So that's another one of those uncontrolled fields that it's like 10 miles north of Vero Beach. So you got Vero Beach, Sebastian, which is an uncontrolled field, then Valkyria, an uncontrolled field, and then Melbourne.
How's it going, Repeat?
Good. We should be live on Rumble Moshkosh any second.
Right.
Any second now.
SoCrates, you were you were 10 years almost to that day behind me.
All right, so I got to ask you guys a question. I was working at Vero Beach Airport fueling airplanes, and 3 Harriers come in for gas.
That was you?
And it was a T-bird and two day attacks from, I'm guessing, 203, or if 203 was...
203 is the only one that had the T-birds.
What? So that would have been 90.
So this is like 91?
Oh, well. So
it's like 90.
Yeah, we were in our gun squadron by then.
So 90, 91?
I never went down there in 203.
No, neither did I.
So it was probably one of our peers, though, because if it was 90, that's when we went through the rag. I showed up.
So what I gleaned from these guys is they were doing bombing in Eglin at the there's an airfield, bombing range in the middle of the state there, and somebody's canopy popped open, so they had to come in. They diverted into Vero and got gas and stuff.
We had that problem all the time.
Yeah,
in fact, I think I've told that story on the show that we had. I had the argument with the McDonnell Douglas tech rep. He's like, the pilots aren't closing the canopies. Okay, Dave. How many canopies have come open in the F-18? Well, none. It's a different system. So you're telling me that we put all the stupid pilots that forget to close canopies in the Harrier, but none in the Hornet.
Right.
No, it's a different system. That's my point, Dave. It's the system. The canopy system is wrong.
That's right. It's
no, the pilots are not closing the canopy.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, Dave, how many Hornet pilots are forgetting to close their canopy? Well, none.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, well. All right. Hey, let's get this thing live, man.
Let's do it. For fuck's sake.
Let's do this.
We're 20 minutes into the broadcast already.
Right. Yeah.
In numbskulls, we're broadcasting.
Right. Okay, one other thing. Just a quick question. Everybody's on either Chrome or Edge?
Affirmative.
Chrome. Yes.
Chrome. All right,
Chrome.
That way we can get all the recordings for the audio. Here we go, gents.
Numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit on the tanker through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that. Wow, we really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not.
Really?
So there I was crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly.
All right. So there I was, Tripoli, Libya, and we're all about to die.
Oh, that is how all great aviation tales begin. Welcome, everybody. Repeat here, coming to you from New Hampshire today. That is, we can't wait to get into the rest of that. But I'm here right now with my co-host, Big.
Hello. Coming to you from Kearney, Missouri for one more day. And that chilling teaser is our guest, SoCrates. Welcome, SoCrates.
Gentlemen, it's an honor to be here with you.
There he goes, using that gentleman term again.
Yeah, I know. SoCrates.
All right, I'll change it to fellas. How's that?
SoCrates is another fellow naval aviator of the Marine flavor and a fellow Harrier pilot, and we are in awe to hear your stories, my friend.
Absolutely. So,
Thanks.
but let's get it
I
out of the
dug
way
this.
right away. SoCrates, SoCrates. Most people
Yes.
pronounce that Socrates.
They
Tell us about
would,
your call
yes.
sign.
Well, I think that the truest way I could describe it to you is that I'm not SoCrates.
Okay. So you're an imposter.
Yeah, exactly.
Not Socrates. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Not smart enough to be Socrates, so I got SoCrates for barroom philosophizing.
That
There you
is outstanding.
I love it.
right.
Absolutely love it. All right. I think we begin at the beginning, though. How'd you get interested in aviation and naval aviation, for that matter?
Yeah, my father was an aircraft mechanic, and he started in the Navy. He joined it during Vietnam, and ended up as maintenance for S2s, which is the
Oh, yeah.
predecessor to the
Okay.
S3.
Yeah.
The old large radial engine aircraft, and he was stationed mostly in the Philippines. Never went to a boat in his life, even though he joined the Navy. I don't know how that happens.
That's weird.
Yeah, considering I joined the Marines and I spent all kinds of time on a boat.
Yeah,
And
right.
yeah, and so I grew up around it. So when I was born, he got out. I happened when he was about 25. My mom was 19, and I grew up around aviation because my dad was working on airplanes, and yeah, that's how it happened.
Okay. That makes
Nice.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
The
the
great
first.
thing about being that too is my dad worked for an old airline called Allegheny Commuter. You guys know this up in
Yep.
the north?
Oh, I remember Allegheny
Yeah, I
Airlines.
remember. I remember
They wound up
Allegheny.
getting, well, I don't know about Allegheny Commuter, same as Allegheny.
Yeah, it's Allegheny Airlines.
Yeah, okay.
So the livery would have Allegheny Commuter on the side.
Okay.
Anyway, uh, they flew shorts and Dash 7s. And then later on, we moved down to Vero Beach, Florida. Well, actually, it was Florida. And Allegheny started flying Beach 99s. You guys know what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had like 3 or 4 of them. And they ran them from like New York, Buffalo area. They had one route up there. And then in down in Florida, they ran Vero Beach, Ocala, Orlando, and Lakeland. And then eventually those routes got necked down to basically just Vero Beach and Orlando. And my dad and one other mechanic, great friend of ours, I consider him an uncle at this point. Roger, he's a great man. He stayed around Vero and actually developed his own FBO down there, and he's doing great.
Sweet.
And yeah, those guys are great people. But yeah, we would take that. So my dad would work on the plane at night. He was the night shift guy because the plane flew during the day. So he and Roger flew or worked on the planes at night. And then whenever we had an opportunity to do a check flight, my dad would throw, my brother and I on the plane, and we would go off and do a maintenance check, which
Nice.
always ended up being flying, down a canal at 50 feet,
Of course.
And I don't know if you guys ever barrel rolled a Beach 99, but I've been on one that they've done that. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I can't say I ever did.
Just a little terrifying. Oh, dear God. No
Yeah.
kidding.
So it was in your blood, right? And so you started what's it called? Sun Jet Center. You started working there when you were in your teens or going to college?
So I get out of high school, get a job, decide to work over there at the Vero Beach Airport Services / Sun Jet Center. And because my dad worked at the airport, they knew him, they knew me, and they said, we'll give him a shot. And I wound up working there for a few years, and that's where I saw my first live Harrier, 3 of them actually.
All right.
And then I wound up working out a deal with some people to one of my coworkers actually. he had just graduated from Florida Institute of Technology, FIT, in Melbourne, with
Okay.
all of his ratings, with his CFII. So he says, "Hey, you know what? I will teach you how to fly, and I'll only charge you for $5 for ground school and $10 for flight, but you got to rent the
Whoa.
airplane." And I'm like, "All right, well, where I work, they rent airplanes, and I get a deal on that, and I get a deal on gas, so absolutely."
Nice.
And even with that, it took a little while though, because Sun Jet Center didn't pay much.
That's all
Right.
right. You were working it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And no
and
matter
that's all
how you
good.
work it, there's just nothing free about aviation.
No.
Yeah, and I tell you, and then so I would also wash and wax airplanes on the side to try to get extra money.
Yeah.
And the FBO that I worked at Sun Jet Center, they had office space, and a guy comes in and says, "I want to rent some space. I'm going to sell airplanes." And the deal we worked out was, I'll clean and polish airplanes and keep them nice and neat, and you give me flight time. Well, it turns out that used airplane salesmen are very similar to used car salesmen. So you you don't want to get one of those deals. Let me tell you, I didn't win that one.
All right.
Oh man.
All right. Well,
I
you live
came
and you
out a little
learn.
behind on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking through your notes. I'm assuming that this dead stick of 172 in Valkyria Airport happened sometime during this time frame.
It did, yeah.
And was
I
this at
had just
night? It
been
was at night.
It was at night.
Ah,
I
shit.
had
Because
recently
nothing
been
ever happens on a clear sunny day with
No.
perfect visibility.
no. We so the backstory is this. One day I'm working, and this Cessna 172 shows up, pulls up in front of the building, and this very pretty young blonde gets out of the airplane. Well, right away I'm interested. She's
Intriguing.
young,
Yes.
pretty, and has an airplane. Well, she had just graduated from Flight Safety International with a bunch of ratings, commercial, multi-engine instrument, all that stuff. And her father was with her. And her father was an airline pilot who had bought her that airplane so she could build instrument time in it.
Sure. Yeah.
And we made an arrangement where I would be her safety pilot. So she would be under the hood on the way out, and I would be her safety pilot.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, wherever we went, I would get to fly home, and I'd get some left seat time.
Nice.
Well,
let me jump in real quick. Sorry to interrupt
man.
the flow of the story. So
No
for
worries, no
those
worries.
non-aviators out there, the hood is essentially like a really long build baseball
Visor.
cap that
Yeah.
allows you only to look at the instruments of the aircraft, not out over the panel, not out the window at all. So you were flying the aircraft strictly by reference to the instruments inside. And the rules are, if you're VFR, someone needs to be in the other seat looking out the window as your safety pilot, making sure you don't run into other airplanes or other objects in the sky.
I'm glad you said that. I totally,
Yeah, thanks, Pete.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, we know what the hood is, but all right. Sorry.
Good job. Good job.
Sorry. Please continue, sir. Sorry to interrupt the flow.
Anyway, we flew up to Georgia, and
Nice.
I get to fly on the way home. And now it's nighttime, of course, and running into some headwinds. So I just go into sort of rental power, as they call it. It's where you you push the throttle up a little more than you normally fly at, higher than normal cruise power.
Put a dent in the
say.
firewall.
Yeah. And anyway, I'm looking at the gas gauges, and the gas gauges they're starting to wiggle. You know how those type of small civil airplane gas gauges are not dependable. They're not
Right.
accurate.
Right.
Right. And as they go down, they start to get low, they start to wiggle about. And we have a conversation like, hey, we got there's Titusville. We could jump in there real quick and get some gas. And she says, no, we got to keep going. We got plenty of fuel. I've been timing it, I've been watching everything. We're good. Say, okay. Gas gauges are going down a little bit more, but they're bouncing. And well, there's, we're getting close to Melbourne. Maybe we should stop at Melbourne. No, we're good. We're 20 minutes from home. We got 45 minutes of fuel. It's a nice evening. It was overcast about 4,000. I think we were flying at 3,500. And I watched Melbourne go by, and the gas gauges, the little needles, quit bouncing off of E. They were kind of bouncing off of E, and then they stopped bouncing off of E.
They just went to sleep.
And I went, this isn't good. And then it got quiet. So I
On the
I
good bad
recognized.
scale, quiet is bad unless you're
Yeah.
flying a glider.
So we have at this point I have two options. I'm over the intercoastal and I can ditch in the Indian River Lagoon, or
That doesn't sound.
I know that there's an airport south of Melbourne called Valkyria Airport, because I had flown around the area and I had never been to Valkyria Airport, but I was familiar with the entire eastern seaboard by this point. Hello, puppy. And so I take a cut about 220, best guess, and I call up Patrick Approach, because we were just on with them and they handed us off. They canceled us, but we hadn't switched frequencies yet. And I said, hey, I need Valkyria now because we got an engine problem. And he comes back and he says, hey, your heading is about 223 for Valkyria. Oh, that's nice. So we keep going, same heading, and I'm looking, I can't find anything. And they say, it's right off your nose, it's right off your nose. And finally I look down and I see some of the airplanes on the tarmac have what appear to be like parking lights, like a parking lot has.
Yeah.
But that's it. There's no runways anywhere. So I see the airplanes, but there's no runways. And then as I look, I see long strips of gray that are, of black that are a different shade of black than the forest. And I think, well, that must be a runway. And I start a left-hand turn to line up with the long dark gray strip that I think it's either a road or a runway. And then I work my way around, and every time, because it's a high wing Cessna, when you turn, you lose sight of your landing zone.
Sure.
And so I kept ratcheting around, trying to keep sight of my landing zone. Roll out, got the landing light on, and there's the numbers. Well, I'm high. Yeah, I'm kind of high. So I put a pretty good slip in this thing. And what a slip is where you cross control, where you put in rudder in the opposite direction that you turn the ailerons. And that kills lift.
It's a lot of drag, buddy. A lot of drag all at once.
Exactly. And we touched down. No problem. And that was it. We're on the ground, and I say, hey, we gotta get a radio broadcast out saying we're okay. And she goes, nope, shut everything down. I said, okay.
Mistakes were made.
We're not going to blow up or anything. Oh, so here's the funny part. So as I flare, the props quits turning because it was just windmilling through the air. Yeah. And then as I get an angle of attack up high enough to touch down, the prop stops running. And she says, wow, we got really lucky. The engine didn't quit until we were like ready to touch down.
Oh, boy.
Said,
Oh, dear God.
That's not what happened.
Oh, boy.
So here's somebody who has a couple of 100 hours, that I was listening to because I believe them. It was her airplane and she had more experience. And
boy, that's
so
terrifying.
That should be a lesson.
Yeah, yeah.
But we pulled it off.
Oh, man. Well, any landing you can walk away from, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So your commissioning source was a PLC program. I see here from your notes, and you got commissioned. How did it work out that you got commissioned in Pensacola at the Naval Aviation Museum?
Yeah. Well, I went to school at Florida State University, and that's just down the street from Pensacola. So when I did join the PLC program,
right,
it was just down the street. And one of the
Okay.
things we had to do was go to NAMI for the flight contract to get a flight physical.
Right.
And
Yeah,
if you're going to get passed, if you're going to get the blessing from NAMI as a PLC contract, well then you're good to go.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like
You
anyone's
know,
going to override those guys.
Yeah, I've had a lot of friends in flight school, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this too, that pass all their flight stuff, and then they get to NAMI,
Yeah, and they
and
get the
they fail.
whammy. They get the NAMI whammy.
Exactly.
Yeah. We talked
And,
about that last week with Doc Doc.
Yes, we
Right,
did.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
So commissioned under the A4s, though, in the museum.
That's
I will
pretty cool.
encourage anybody that gets to the Pensacola area, that is one of the most amazing aviation museums on the planet. It's free to get in. The QB Point Club, brought over from QB Point in the Philippines,
Yeah,
is
reassembled with
mostly
all the plaques.
reassembled. Yeah.
It's pretty
It's
awesome.
like stepping back in time 35 years to see that. But even if you have no interest in specifically naval or marine aviation, they have an IMAX theater there about with several programs. One about the history of flight, dating back to Wilbur and Orville, and it's amazing. It is well worth your
Absolutely.
time to go see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because my dad spent time in the Philippines, and now he was at Subic Bay, but he did make his way over to Kubi Point every now and again.
Nice.
And when he stepped into that bar, into that club with all the plaques and everything, and he said, "Yeah, this is exactly what it was when I was there."
That's
So they
pretty
did a
awesome.
really
Yeah.
good job of replicating the Kubi Point bar.
Yeah, it's eerie. I was there this summer with my my son went to the National Flight Academy, big, and I saw one of the plaques with none other than Bug Roach on it.
No way.
Yeah,
Hey.
so I took a snap of that and I sent it over to Nasty and said, "This wouldn't have meant anything to me a year ago, but now it does." Very cool. So
So I
lots
see.
of history.
I see in your notes that by the time you got to Pensacola and went to flight training, there was a big helo draft, and you were awarded helos out of primary.
That's right. Yeah.
And so let's talk us through that, because something happened that changed that trajectory.
Yeah. So as you know, the day you get the call is kind of a big deal.
Right.
So my friend and I, Scott, we went to we collected some beers, went and got some good cigars, and then went to his place to wait the news. And so we're sitting there having our beers, and we said, well, no matter what happens, man, we're gonna have these cigars, and we're gonna smoke them. We're gonna be happy, or we're gonna smoke them. We're gonna be sad, and we'll move on in life. We'll do the best we can. And we get the phone call, or he gets the phone call, and he says, yeah, this is Lieutenant McLeod, and he says, and I got Fry here. What did he get? Okay. He puts the phone down, opens a beer, says, "We both got helos," and takes a sip of his beer. Doesn't even look at me. He's just sad. He's so upset. And then we proceeded to finish the case of beer and the cigars, and commiserated together. And then
Okay.
Monday morning, we started intermediate flight training.
There you go. So that was
Yeah.
right there at Milton as well, right?
No. We were in Corpus Christi.
Okay.
So we moved.
Okay.
So as all aviators go to Pensacola first, and we do what's called API. Well, I don't know what the term for it is now. It used to be Aviation Pre-Flight Indoctrination. And then from
Yeah.
there,
Then you
you're
went to
either
Corpus,
given-
right?
Yeah, so you're either given Corpus Christi or Milton, or
Right.
just when this. So I got there just when this started, was the Air Force.
Yeah.
Or you could go to
that's a good thing. You
Vance.
stay away from that.
Yeah, so I said, no, I don't want to go to Vance. I'm good. So I went to Corpus, and then so after intermediate flight training, moved back to Pensacola, and we show up there, and the Navy has decided that they have a serious need for helicopter pilots, way more important than the Marines, and they can only take one Marine per class up. Well, as you can imagine, as aviators are backing up, we have a pool of Marines about 70 deep, waiting to start helo training. Yeah. Now they've got a stash in different locations. They got dudes stashed in Sinatra. I'm stashed at the TMO office. Now the TMO office.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we know.
The
Yeah.
transportation.
Moving. When you're
There you
moving.
go. Moving
Yeah.
guys. So basically, I'm there. I'm the secretary, and I'm helping guys move to Meridian and Kingsville to go fly jets, and I'm sitting there just
Unbelievable.
kind of stewing. And but the rest of the time, when I wasn't doing that 2 days a week, I was running back to Tallahassee to visit friends, and I was on the beach in Pensacola, and we were having a good time. And then I said, I need to get into this helicopter mindset. Then I went and bought a Cobra helicopter. It's an AH-1 for the listeners out there. And I'm sitting there at the kitchen table, and I'm building this helicopter. And the phone rings. I say, hey, can I talk to Lieutenant Fry? I say, this is him. I say, hey, where were your grades? You have jet grades? I said, yeah, jet grades. Would you still want to fly jets if you could?
Who was on the other end of that phone call there, SoCrates?
And I said, well, yeah, I would. Okay, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. I'm like, who is this? They hung up. And about 10 minutes later, they call back, and it's the wing. And they said, hey, congratulations. You're going to go jets. We're going to move to your Meridian in about a couple months. I said, okay. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It turns out that one of the guys who was stashed at Sinatra was privy to information that nobody else was. And that was the Marine Corps then needed jet pilots. So they had taken all these people who were previously qualified to fly jets and sent them helos. The Navy needed helicopter pilots, so that jammed up that track. And the Navy was ready to lower their standards to draft people into the jet program. Well, he's sitting there going, hey, you don't have to lower your standards. You got a bunch of people sitting in the helo pool that had jet grades. Why not just grab those guys and,
Well, that
So
worked
they
out
were-
really good.
Yeah, there were 13 of us, a lucky 13.
Right.
How about
Every
that?
now and then you fall ass backwards and do a good deal in life. That seemed
Hey,
to be
man,
yours.
that's the story of
Yeah.
my life. It really is.
Yeah. So a couple quick things. It is on our glossary, but we haven't talked about Sinatra in a long time, and we aren't talking about old Blue Eyes. That's CNATRA, Chief of the Naval Aviation Training. So that's who Sinatra is. And there was another one in there, and I forgot. Yeah. Well,
TMO. He threw that out.
Yeah,
Transportation
Traffic Management Office. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how to address this, I guess, without saying, I talk about lowering standards and all that. It was different grades required and aptitude required for helicopter versus, sorry, blank. I just had a phone call come in and I had to deny it. So basically jet grades, helicopter grades, and that sort of thing. And there was a slightly lower score, is my understanding, but it's because guys are needing to think at 500 knots, vice 120 knots. I think everybody who wears the wings of gold wears the wings of gold. I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's
They're the same wings. You can't tell them
the
apart.
same wings. We like to bust each other's chops a little bit, and Fig and I are the only ones who can say, yeah, we flew jets, but helicopter guys give us crap. Go, yeah, we could hover too. So
Yeah, we could fly backwards. Hey, so I'm looking through the notes here. You went to Meridian for intermediate, but then you went to Kingsville for advanced.
Right.
That's kind of odd.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't married.
yeah.
So I don't understand.
Well, I think that the Navy Marine Corps decided that moving a family was more expensive than just keeping dudes there. So
Well, they weren't doing advanced jet training in Meridian at the time?
no, they were. They were doing advanced training in Meridian. And what happened
Yeah.
was if you were single, you're pretty much guaranteed to move to Kingsville to balance it out.
So you flew the T2 and then the A4? Oh,
I did not.
no,
fly
not your time frame. You flew the T45 the whole time, right?
Yeah, T45 Alpha.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I stood that airplane up down in Kingsville. That's
That was a
crazy.
fun airplane.
That is
Yeah.
nuts.
No. Yeah.
No, I
So-
would much rather fly the A4. Trust me, that was an amazing aircraft. But the T-45 was okay.
So you got winged, right?
Mhm.
Winged in September of 2000.
Correct. Yeah. Got winged in Kingsville, Texas, and then got orders at Cherry Point. And on my card, what they do in the military is they ask you to write down on a card, what are your preferences? And they say, what was your platform and what coast do you want to go to?
Yeah.
So I put down Harriers. And I got what I wanted.
Nice.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
I said
Got one of your
Harriers
top
West.
three choices.
So I
Yeah.
wrote down Harriers West, Harriers East, and Harriers West. So I either got my first or my third choice.
Yeah.
I prefer to think of it as my first choice.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
So went to the RAG, and then you were there during 9/11, in fact.
Yeah, that's true. So one of the things that we had at Cherry Point at the time with the Harrier community was what's called a red stripe, and that's a maintenance problem with the airplane that has yet to be corrected. So there's only a certain number of airplanes that are available that have had that maintenance inspection or maintenance correction done, which means that guys don't get to fly. And I had to wait a little while. And I got stashed with Nightmare XO of VMA 231. I was his special projects officer, helping
Nice.
sort out awards program stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah. Nightmare's a great American.
We had
And then,
Nightmare on a few episodes ago.
Yeah, I remember. And so then, I finally got to start. Get done towards the end of the program, and I wake up on the morning of my check ride, which is in a flight simulator, and 9/11 is happening.
Oh shit.
I wake up to the radio, and it's the first tower had already been hit, and then I turned on the TV, and I'm watching live broadcast, and the second tower is hit, and the broadcaster is talking. He doesn't even realize another airplane hit the tower until his cameraman tells him.
Wow.
And I'm floored. So as you know, everything was grounded, everything was turned off for a while, and it took about 2 weeks before I could get my check ride again, and then I was off to Yuma.
Off to Yuma and VMA 214.
Yeah, checking in the group, and
Great.
I go up to see the group CO, who was a colonel, and he says, "Do you know where you're going?" And I said, "No, sir, I have no idea." So he pulls out his paper and he looks, and you're going to the Black Sheep. Congratulations. I get out of my office. So I head over to the Black Sheep and check in, and they said, "No, you're not on our list."
So then what?
But they took me anyway, and it was a good time. I was there for a couple of years.
That's pure harassment. Nope.
Yeah.
And so let's see. While you're at the Black Sheep, you did you do a MEU 31st? You did 31st MEU in your first
31st
tour,
MEU.
right?
Right. So I check in October of 2001, and we go on a Marine Expeditionary Unit tour in Japan, and that is the 31st MEU, and that is summer of 02. Yeah, and we wind up there, and we're getting towards the end of our tour. It's getting late. It's December, and now it's we haven't heard anything about who our replacement is or anything, and we're kind of waiting patiently with bated breath, as they say. And on Christmas Eve, we get a call and says, "Hey, good news and bad news. Good news is we found your replacement. The bad news, it's you." And that means we were staying for another 6 months.
Oh, geez.
because, as you guys know, the war in Iraq was about to kick off.
Yep.
So they had repositioned all their forces, and they said they solidified squadrons who were going to deploy, and decided that they were not going to take us from Japan to deploy to the Middle East, and they were just going to leave us there in place. And
Because
that
that was
became
231 did that back in 90 when the first Gulf War kicked off.
Yeah.
And the way the world flows, they had to go eastbound all the way from Japan through the States and over to the Middle East.
yeah.
Can't go west 4,000 miles. Got to go east 20,000 miles.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. I mean, I don't
Exactly,
even know why
yeah.
we're talking.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that debt became known as the Snickers debt. And I don't know if you guys remember the advertising campaign that Snickers had
Yeah.
around that time, and it was, they said, not going anywhere for a while, have a Snickers. So that was us. We said we're
That's
not going
perfect.
anywhere for a while.
The Snickers debt. Love it.
Yeah, we had patches made that said Snickers debt. It was great.
That's sick and great all at the same time.
Right.
Right.
Snickers debt. Cutter. I see here. Cutter was the OIC of the debt. Is that right?
Yeah, man. Cutter was the OSC. You know Cutter?
Well, we were
Yeah.
TBS in flight school
I'm
classmates.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, he's a great American. He's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Really good dude. And you know Gramps?
Yes.
Yeah. He was one of my students at the RAG.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So I got a story for you
All
about
right, let's hear
Gramps
it.
here. All right. So one of the things that we would do, we do air shows around Japan.
Yeah.
And it was really great because Osan, Korea is one leg for us from Iwakuni. So we would go to hop into Osan, and we would go into the marketplace down
Do
there,
your
and we would
shopping.
do our shopping, but we would order squadron kitsch. We get our squadron stuff, black sheep hats and shirts or whatever you wanted to do to sell at air shows,
Yeah.
and or to the squadron in general. And we go on this one flight. Gramps is with me, and he's a major, and I'm more or less a brand new captain. I think I've only been a captain for maybe a year, probably 8 months. And anyway, we get over there, and we land, and we're told, hey, don't forget to go to immigration. And I said, okay. And I told Gramps, I said, we don't need to get immigration. I was just here a couple weeks ago. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, man, it'll be cool. We're good. Because as we looking at the building, there's like a freaking squadron of F-18 Delta, pilots walking in there, and F-18Ds are two-seater F-18s.
Yeah.
And so just like all these people walking in there. It's like, come on, man, let's just go out in town, get our orders done, and we'll be good. And he says, okay. So we go out in town, we get our orders, do our stuff, get back to the hotel, and there's a note that says, hey, these guys were looking for you. So we look at this note, and it was immigration came to look for us. I said, oh, that's not good. So we walk back to base, which is not terribly far away, and we get up to the building, and it's locked up. There's nobody there. And then this car pulls up, and these two little boys jump out, wearing white button-down short and black slacks, and they're very angry. And they start yelling at us. And we're like, what is going on? So we look for you. And it's like, okay, we're here. I'm sorry, what happened? So we go into their office, and now they have us to write statements. You write a statement, you stand over there, you write a statement. What happened? Why you no come here? Why you no come here? So I remember my SEER training, and I keep my testimony very vague and
Right.
easily.
Yes.
That's not what I meant, or And I don't know what Gramps is writing, but Gramps he's a great American, right? He's a great dude, but he's also very by the book,
Right.
So I think he maybe wrote the truth. I'm not really sure. And so I write the statement down, and the guy comes over and he reads it, and he goes, oh, and he gets out a red pen and he underlines a sentence. He's, you know right true. And I go, hey, what's going on? And he's like, you break Korean raw. And I said, hey man, what's your name? And he says, what? You don't need my name. I know break Korean raw. You break Korean raw. And I said, well, my grandfather was over here during the Korean War, and I thought maybe you and I could be related. And he stops. He talks to his buddy for a minute in Korean, and they just yell at us and they kick us out of the office.
Nice. That's outstanding.
So then I think there was a big fine involved in that and everything. And then when I was my wife was assigned to Korea in 2015. So when this happened, this is like 02, 03. So now I'm like, oh man, am I still on the list? Am I going to show up like a check
Right.
into immigration? And they're going to like,
Oh, they're gonna throw you in jail till you
I
pay the
thought they were just
fine.
throwing me in jail, dude.
Right.
But no, we were good to go. It was no issue. And but I love the Koreans because lived there for 2 years, and the great thing, they're so nice. The Korean people, so kind, so welcoming. My youngest, I said not my youngest, my young 2-year-old when we moved there learned to speak Korean. So in the 2 years we were there, she was 4
Wow.
years old and spoke Korean.
That's what
Wow.
they say. They say when
Yeah.
you're a small child, you pick up languages
They're
quickly.
sponges, dude. They're sponges.
So is when you were on that debt,
Mhm.
is this when you had the low fuel light on MBGs
Yeah,
at this time frame?
yeah. This is my section lead check ride,
Fun,
and
fun
we're on the
times.
boat. We're on the east coast of Korea.
Yeah. So
And-
describe what a section lead check ride is, please.
Well, when you leave the RAG, you are a qualified Harrier pilot. Are they calling it the RAG, the Fleet Replacement Squadron now? I think they're calling
Right.
it.
Yeah.
When you leave there, you are a qualified Harrier pilot, meaning you can operate a Harrier safely, or at least to the satisfaction of the instructor pilots and the group there, and go off to your squadron. But that doesn't mean that you are capable of employing that aircraft in times of war and leading another airplane, another pilot to execute attacks in synchronicity, right?
Right.
So you synchronize, you have attacks that are synchronized and everything like that. To be a section lead, there's a workup. There's a process and a number of flights you have to do, and you have to meet the satisfaction of the commander, the squadron commander, whoever that is at the time. Happened to be for me the ACE commander, which is the Air Combat Element CO. So we go out to do this check ride. We go out to drop bombs. What's going on, puppy? Go out to drop bombs on an island on the west coast of Korea, and then fly back to the boat. It's like a Sunday. And as we get back, coming back to the ship, it's late. There's an overcast layer that we have to penetrate. Now it's dark. We start descending. We get through the overcast layer, and it's dark on the bottom. And everyone turns their goggles on, and mine don't work. And goggles are the night vision goggles, NVGs.
Right.
And the boat is set up for NVGs. All the helicopters operating near the boat are on NVGs. So they can't just change their mind and go, hey, we're going to flip the lights on for you. So the decision is made.
Of course not.
We're going to recover everybody else, and you'll be last, and we'll turn the lights on for you.
Well,
So I get the low fuel light, and I've got to come back. I start the approach because I have to start the approach to the boat. I don't have time to wait. I'm low fuel. I hear the last plane, is coming in. He's cleared to cross, and I'm in the chute, and I hear him touch down, and I cry, "Uncle!" I'm like, "Uncle, I need the lights." and I'm at 200 feet hovering over the water, about 200 meters off the port side of the boat, and I don't see anything until they turn the lights on. I'm just sitting there
Shit.
going, yeah, it was amazing. Oh, there's the boat over there. Okay, I'm gonna go over there now.
somewhere.
Yeah,
That's horrible.
yeah, it was
Can't
all
do
good,
that.
all good.
Oh, man.
So needless to
Jeez.
say, passed the check ride, and all was good.
Well, congratulations for not dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Or giving one back to the taxpayers for crying out
Yeah.
loud.
Well, it was a
Speaking of
perfectly good
which,
airplane.
Speaking of which, you flew with not one but two guys who gave one back to the taxpayer, right?
That's true. That's true. I have had
I think
two
if I'd have seen my
wingmen.
name as your wingman, I'd have passed.
Well, apparently I'm such a terrible flight lead that
That's it.
two of my wingmen decided not to come back with me at all. They said, I've had enough. The first time it happened was in Yuma. I was
Yeah.
with VMA 211, and it was a
Wake
nighttime
Island
mission.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wake Island Avengers, a great squadron, amazing, amazing lineage, and we go out to do a CAS mission, close air support training, with Cobra helicopters out of Pendleton.
Daytime or nighttime?
This is a nighttime mission.
Of course.
Yep. This is winter. Oh, hello, puppy.
We need
And,
to change the title of the show from "So There I Was" to "So There I Was at Night."
So there
Right.
was at night.
It's
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
crap is
It was
happening at
night.
night.
It's always night.
Yeah.
And so we take off, and one of the things I have to contend with is my environmental control system decides that it is going to be stuck on cold,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. And it's
Yeah, but-
winter.
Been
For
there.
Yuma, I mean, it's whatever temperature the air blowing out of that vent is, it's cold. It's
It's
very
freaking cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, my wingman, great guy, Sonic. I think you guys have a picture of Sonic. He is over. That's him over Baghdad International Airport. That's not me. That's Sonic.
Okay.
And
That-
so Sonic tells me, "Hey, I got a problem with my system," and I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" And we discuss it. And I said, "Okay, well, you're done. You're just gonna be high cover. I've got a problem with my jet. I'm cold in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do one pass for the Cobra guys. I'm gonna drop all, and we'll head home. And the good thing is that we just had these training rounds, which are called Mark 76s, and what are they, like
Yeah.
25-pound
Sure.
blue bombs? They're very small, but they're aerodynamically identical to a 500-pound bomb.
Ballistically. Yeah.
Ballistically, correct. And so I go in, I drop my bombs, come off, and we start heading back. And call base. They're going to get an LSO out there to guide them in because it's required for this particular system malfunction. And I'm about to land, and I am literally like 20 feet off the deck, and he says, "I'm out of control. I think I have, or he just says, "I'm out of control." And I said, "Well, eject." And then I don't hear anything. And normally what I expected to hear was what's called an emergency locator transponder. And when you leave the airplane, the ELT is automatically tripped.
Right.
And I could listen to it over our backup frequency. But I don't hear anything. And I keep calling him, and I don't hear anything. I'm talking to Tower. "Hey, Tower, do you see this guy? Where'd he go?" And they have no idea. They didn't see him. And
Was
So
he
it turned out-
overhead? Was he overhead? Was he in the airport area at the time,
yeah,
or
we
was he
were
on
both
the way
in the
in?
airport area. Yeah, we were both in the airport area, and I was landing, and he was supposed to be in high.
Okay, so
Delta
he's kind of like on the downwind or
Well, he's
coming
supposed to
in.
be in
You
the-
guys going to
he's
the
supposed-
pad, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to be the Delta pattern, and he's
Okay.
gonna to land on the runway.
All right.
And we don't hear from him. The tower has no sight of him. Don't know where he is. Turns out he ejected out of his airplane safely. A couple of Border Patrol guys pick him up and take him to the hospital. They just put him in his truck, in their back of the pickup truck, and drive him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Was it on the south side of the field? You know, kind of out by
he
the.
landed. Yeah, the plane ended up in an alfalfa field south of the airfield.
Obviously, it wasn't a big explosion. You would have seen that.
No, it went boom.
Okay.
I don't. I don't know. There was a lot of. There wasn't much of the airplane left, to be honest, from the fire.
Wow. Interesting.
I went and looked at it.
What was what was the causal factor? What was his malfunction that
There was
that started the whole thing anyway?
It was technically a 28 volt DC short to ground, and the indication was that he had a stability augmentation failure.
Okay.
Oh.
Right.
And
Okay.
what really happened is that the HUD was displaying his angle of attack much lower than it actually was.
Okay.
And
That's bad luck.
That could be
he
an
was
issue.
flying at the appropriate AOA, but the airplane wasn't. Its actual AOA was higher, so he did what's called an approach turn stall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Deadly. Only a little deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you,
and
stay with the airplane.
snapped out of control, and fortunately
Wow.
he got out.
Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Simon's a great dude. He never flew again. He said, "This thing tried to kill me, man. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
This is, not for me."
That's a good plan for him then.
We've heard that before. It's kind of a recurring theme sometimes.
Here at So There I Was, we're proud to welcome back as a sponsor Robin's Bird Brain Designs. Looking for a unique and thoughtful gift? Well, look no further. At robinsbirdbraindesigns.com, they specialize in custom slate coasters that are sure to impress. Imagine having a set of coasters personalized with your squadron logo and call sign, or even your aircraft tail number and instruments. Whether it's for your aviation enthusiast friends or a special someone in your life, their custom coasters are the perfect way to show that you've put some thought into getting that something special for someone truly special. But it doesn't stop there. They can also create coasters with any organization logo and printing that you desire. From military units or sports teams, they've got you covered. Their high-quality coasters are made from durable slate, ensuring they'll stand the test of time. So why settle for ordinary gifts when you can give something extraordinary? Visit robinsbirdbraindesigns.com today and let them help you create custom gifts that show just how much you care. Because when it comes to thoughtful presents, they've got your back. So you lose a wingman, or we didn't lose the wingman. Wingman lost his jet, we should say. So that was the good news.
Yeah, we got the wingman back.
You got the wingman back. It's always nice to be able to reuse your wingman, even if you can't reuse this airplane.
Exactly.
And then, it sounds like that was the beginning of some bad luck for 211. So this was a week or so later. You lost another jet. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, it was the very first flight that we sent an airplane out. Sent a pilot out on a maintenance check flight, and it didn't come back. And it turned he got out. He ejected safely.
Okay.
In the Chocolate Mountains, and the engine slung a blade and took a bunch of stuff out, and he had no choice but to eject.
Terrifying. And was this a day attack or a night attack jet? It was a night attack jet, right?
I don't remember. It was either a radar or a night attack jet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think they had a night attack
So the
and/or
fleet,
radar jets.
so by the time I got in, all of the aircraft were either night attack or radar.
Gotcha. Okay.
With the plan to make the majority of the aircraft in the squadron to be radar and the minority to be night attack.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you did another det after that, and
Yeah, went to Iraq. So we do go back to the 31st MEU.
okay.
We're there for like a week, And they said, hurry up, you got to get on the boat. We're going to Iraq. I said, okay, well, we can just get on the boat. We got to do workups. We got stuff to do. At this point, I'm the debt operations officer. And they said, well, how fast can you get on there? And I said, well, give us an extra week anyway. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And they said, okay. Well, it turns out that the emergency was not that bad. It still took us 3 weeks before they even said, okay, get on the boat. And but we did our workups and we got everything done. And
Okay.
we get down there to White Beach and load up and there's a typhoon about to hit Iwakuni. And the Essex says, hey, you guys got to get on the boat right now or we're leaving. And the Marines are like, okay, we're going to get on the boat. And they just keep pushing stuff on the boat. And Essex is like, oh, we missed our window. We have to stay here now. Well, poor Essex is getting battered by this typhoon. It breaks away from the dock and everything. They had to have tugboats. So the next day after the typhoon's gone, there's like 4 tugboats pushing the USS Essex against the dock to hold it on so the Marines can get the rest of their gear on.
Oh my gosh.
And
what a mess.
then we leave port. We finally get out of port, we're heading out. And there's not one typhoon, but 2 typhoons. And they were training each other. There was one, they're both traveling westbound.
Sure.
And then they both turned north and bracketed us. And we were stuck between 2 typhoons for like a week. And we had like 25, 30 degrees of roll in on the boat, which is significant for a boat of that size.
Yeah.
And then
from personal experience, I can tell you that is exhausting because your body naturally is trying to stay vertical the whole time. So you're constantly moving even when you're sitting in a chair, you're moving.
Oh yeah. And I don't get airsick, but I get seasick like a big dog. Like as soon as I get on the boat is at dock and I get on the boat. I'm like, I don't feel good.
Right. Oh,
so
dude.
So I get seasick pretty easily. And I finally get, any opportunity, the first opportunity I had to get off the boat and get it in the air, I was like, oh, this feels so good. I just want to sit here for a minute and relax. And then, okay, let's do the mission. But we finally make our way over to the Middle East, to the Gulf, and we go into Kuwait for a bit, and then we've got to make our way. So what they did with the Mew was they took the ground element, and the ground element had to drive up to Al Asad, and the air element flew up there.
Okay.
And fortunately, I was on the advanced party to go check out things and set things up. So my wingman and I, we launch and we get into Al Asad, and the very next day at Al Asad is the Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld's visit to Al Asad.
Oh, great.
And I'm talking to my buddies, and they're very upset about
this is your
visit.
second day there? Your second day there on the advanced party?
I haven't even been there an hour.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And I'm getting, hey, man, the SecDef's coming tomorrow, and guess what? They have
Oh, boy. You're going to host.
Hornet. They have a Hornet and a Cobra helicopter on display and no Harrier. And the Harriers have dropped more bombs over here than the Hornets. We've done more stuff over here than the Hornets and the Cobras combined. And they don't put a Harrier out there. It's just going to be, just the Harrier, just the Hornet and the Cobra.
Terrible.
I'm like, well, I can fix that. I don't belong to you guys yet. I'll just drive my Harrier over there in the morning. And they said, yeah. So I got up at 5 a.m. and we got a crew chief and fired up, and I taxied over. And if y'all have been to Al Asad, no,
I am.
yeah.
Yep.
So you know how you have to go down into a wadi. A wadi is what do you
dry riverbed.
Yeah, dry riverbed. So I taxied the airplane off of the ramp past a road down the wadi. And down there they had these bunkers for the Iraqi aircraft to hide in.
Yeah.
Well, they have the 2 aircraft on display for the SecDef, and I just pulled right up in between them, shut down. Crew chief slaps some chocks under there, and this young lance corporal comes up and says, "Sir, what are you doing?" And he was one of the guards for the area, waiting for the SecDef to show up.
Yeah.
And I slapped him on the shoulder. I'm like, "Hey, don't let anything happen to this airplane. It stays right here. You're responsible for it." And I walk off. So what happened was, when the SecDef showed up and the television cameras and everything are on him, the only thing that they show is him walking by a Harrier and into the hangar and give his speech. And when he left, he walked out the same way. It was just the Harrier.
Nice.
One of my squadron mates got a picture with him next to the jet,
Right.
next to my jet. Yeah.
So
And,
is that where the second wingman ejection story happens when you're deployed?
no, this is actually after we get back.
Oh shit. Okay, so how long were you flying out of Al Asad there?
We were there until, we got there in October-ish of 04. We departed there in February 05.
Okay, wow, you spent a little time there.
And then we were there for Al-Fallujah, the second part of Al-Fallujah, dropping bombs, and that was a whole thing. And then yeah.
So
So what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the wingman, or do you want to talk about something else?
Well,
Can we talk about
you got any good stories from Iraq? From combat stories.
So
Anything
I've got good fun stories, but then I've got one terrifying story.
Cool.
For me, it was terrifying for me. It was a night mission. I don't know what happened. I got put on the night page, and there I stayed until I was almost ready to go, and then they transitioned to me today.
Okay. That was not nice.
Yeah, well, you get into a rhythm, and you don't want to change it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because
Circadian
once
rhythm.
you learn how to deal with the sun, because what happens physiologically, you could be up all night, and as soon as you see the sun, there's something happens, and you're awake again.
Yeah, your body's ready to go.
Yeah, your body. So once you learn to deal with the sun in that way, you don't want to get off that schedule because it's just too painful to transition back. And anyway, we go out on our mission, and Al-Fallujah is happening, and this is the second battle to retake Al-Fallujah after
Yeah, it's
Richmond
hot.
a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And we check in with the FAC, and he's highly motivated, and he's got targets for us, and we're ready to go. And let me back up. One of the first things, I'm taxiing out on our mission, and my HUD head-up display switches from normal mode to night vision goggle mode.
All right.
But it does it on its own. I didn't do anything. At first, I thought I fat-fingered, the controls, and I tried.
Is this daytime or nighttime there?
This is
SoCrates?
evening. This is like
Okay. All right.
11 o'clock.
So
at
it's
night.
not horrible because you're going to do it anyway, but you didn't pick it.
Yeah,
It just happened for you.
Yeah, I'm on the goggles. I didn't really prefer the night vision mode because the goggles were so good, that you could use the normal mode anyway. But anyway, it's all it is just almost like a font. It's a change in font.
Okay. How does this play into the terrifying night story?
It does. It does.
Okay.
I'm sorry. There you go on. Anyway, it was
Fucking
kind of a
land the
precursor.
plane, baby. Land the plane.
There you go. There you go, man. This is a precursor. Anyway,
Okay.
I take off anyway. I don't know what the issue is, but I'm on goggles and no big deal, right? Check in. My FAC is highly motivated. We're ready to go. Drop some bombs. I'm making my run, and I'm all lined up. I'm watching the bomb fall or queue, bomb release queue drop down to meet the release point.
Yeah.
And I'm not touching the stick because I have it on George and everything's lined up.
So George is the autopilot.
George is the autopilot,
Yeah.
and the bomb comes off. I'm
Oh
like, what?
shit.
I didn't. And then as soon as that happened, the targeting pod starts to walk through all of my waypoints that I have selected. So it just starts walking through all these points, and I had the target lasing from my bomb. So I was dropping a laser guided bomb And the thing is, now I have no control. I have no control over this thing whatsoever. I don't know where this bomb's
Holy-
going to end.
Oh,
You know,
shit.
where's it going to land?
right.
And how close are my Marines? How close are the guys on the ground? I have no idea, and I'm just panicking, trying to figure out how to get this targeting pod to stop slewing. And I'm pushing on my the controls to try to get the waypoint where I want it to be. And finally, it stops slewing, and I touch the waypoint button twice. It gets to my targeting point. The original target shows up on my display, and the bomb impacts. And I am just beyond relieved.
Better to be lucky than good.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I'm
Yeah,
beyond
so-
relieved. I hear over the radio, "Hey, good hits," and I'm just sitting there going, oh, you're just relieved. I key the mic to talk to my wingman to explain what happened. I said, "Holy shit!" And then I look up in my HUD, and all I can see is the vertical stabilizer, the tail of an F-16, filling my HUD, filling my field of view.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm holy shit. It goes by. I look left. I see his wingman pitching into the vertical. I look where my wingman is. He's out. He had dove because he saw this whole thing. Like he saw all the
Starting to
aircraft. So he
unfold.
dove
Yeah.
down, and it turns out that another FAC working had cleared a section of F-16s at our same altitude. So we were the most terrifying 31 seconds of my life was when that bomb came off my jet for uncommanded, and I had no control over it until the last few seconds.
That's
And
terrifying.
it made contact, and that was the most terrifying thing ever.
Oh,
Because you
yeah.
just don't know where it's going to go, and
Right.
is it going to hit friendlies?
Right.
You know,
Innocent people. Holy
Yeah.
shit. That's terrifying. That's terrifying.
So lucky you got control of that thing back
No
too,
kidding.
right? Oh,
Yeah,
dear God.
just luck. I mean, I don't know. It stopped when it needed to. You know.
Yeah, and the whole big sky, little airplane theory went right out the window at that moment as well.
I've never been so close. I've only been that close to another airplane in formation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's
You know.
that's also terrifying. But everything's were lining up for you to make this the worst night ever, maybe for permanent reasons, and it wasn't to be, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
My
shit.
wingman. I talked to my wingman on the ground. He's like, I don't know how you missed that airplane. Like I just expected. Like I looked over and I saw those two, you and him, and I'm like, they're gonna meet, and then you didn't, and I don't know how that happened.
So did you move your jet at all, or did it just not? It just
I didn't have time.
holy
It was
shit.
right there. I look up, and the airplane's right in front of me, passing.
Oh,
Passing
yeah.
left to right, and I'm just going, where's -2? Oh, there he is, pitching up. Okay, great.
oh,
Where's my
shit.
buddy, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
And
man.
yeah, it was absolutely insane. And it turns
Yeesh.
out that, we had some other issues with the airplane and the flight that time, but I get back and they removed the stick, and there's a cannon plug that has, and it has the male end that sits into the stick, the female end. Well, the pins were all bent inside of it. So when maintenance took it off to do whatever maintenance would do, they, it didn't get seated properly and bent the pins.
Wow.
So all these stray trons were
Yeah.
going everywhere at
Yeah.
inopportune moments.
Stray
At
electrons.
the most inopportune time.
Yeah.
So
gremlins,
how
I think
is
they
it-
called them.
So let's. I want to hear how you convinced the second wingman to eject. That's
Yeah, that was
you know.
that was actually easier.
So how does this happen?
Okay.
So this poor young lad, he was pretty fresh out of the Fleet Replacement Squadron, and I think he had a total of 120 hours in the airplane.
Okay.
When we left, when I was there, we left. We had like 95 hours,
Okay. Yeah.
something like that. It was sub 100 hours in the airplane when we were qualified and kicked to the squadrons.
Yeah, but they did do it pretty quickly, so you were feeling pretty comfortable, as I recall, as you came out
No,
of the
yeah,
rag.
you're feeling
you know.
really, really comfortable.
Because you were flying pretty frequently together, some confidence. Some
But
some
they
gents
had-
overconfident, but that's another story.
Yeah. So this guy came from a group that actually stayed at the FRS longer, so they actually lengthened the syllabus to give these guys more flight time before they hit the fleet.
Okay.
And at this point, I was at the group post deployment, come back to the group, and I get to go with 513. I'll augment 513.
Okay.
And,
The Nightmares.
The Nightmares, and we go out to 21 Palms to drop some bombs, and we had each 4 500-pound bombs and 300 rounds of 25 millimeter, and we get out there, and the FAC can't take us because he's working other people. We're hanging out.
Daytime
And,
or nighttime?
This is daytime. Beautiful
Okay.
day. Everything's gorgeous. Everything's working right.
Yeah.
And they said, the FAC says, hey, we can take you now. And I said, well, we got to go hit the tanker. We hung out here too long. So
Yeah.
we go to the tanker, and Rusty, he can't get in the basket. And it happens to everybody, and it wasn't a bumpy day. It was just, for whatever reason, we have them. We have a bad day where we can't get in the basket to get fuel. And so finally we get to bingo, and okay, Rusty, no big deal, man. Let's go home. So we're going home with all of our ordnance. And
It's kind of a
we get
defeated
back.
feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate, but not really a big deal,
So what did you
Kinda
do to
all-
him to make him eject? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
What did
so
you
he,
do?
So it was almost the exact same scenario, except for it's daytime and gorgeous out.
Oh boy.
Just about to land, and Rusty says, "Hey, I have an aileron problem. I think I have to eject."
What?
I'm like, okay, eject. I don't know what to say. I can't diagnose.
Don't do
you.
it. Stay with it. Don't do it.
Stay with it. You'll be
Which said
fine.
no,
Well,
and no one ever says that.
Yeah. No
Yeah,
one
you're
would
at
said
300
nobody
feet in a Harrier. You got a problem. Yeah, let's talk this through.
ever. Yeah.
Come on, bro.
And,
you hang with this. You can do it.
So
Those
Said
guys
no
will
jumps
one.
out. He pulls the handle, and then I watch the airplane go by me on my right side, and then it rolls over
Oh.
and goes into where I think Walmart is.
Oh shit.
And I go, oh my God.
Clean up on aisle 6.
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
And I don't know that
7 and
he
8
ejected.
and 30.
So yes, I don't know he ejected. And I'm craning my neck as hard as I can because I'm.
Oh,
on
you didn't see the
rollout.
ejection. You just saw the airplane.
I
go
didn't
by.
see the eject. I saw the
Okay.
airplane going by, and I'm still on the runway because I've actually touched down at this point. I'm craning over my right shoulder looking, and I see a chute.
Okay.
So that I can report back to 513 base. Hey, we've had an ejection. He's good to go. But I think the airplane landed on Walmart.
Oh,
and,
shit.
And fortunately
Call the
enough,
National Military Command Center now. Tell them they've
Yeah.
got a public relations
it
problem.
that airplane overflew Walmart and landed in a neighborhood in the backyard of 4 houses. So it didn't land on a house.
Oh, thank goodness.
Now
Right.
it exploded because it had jet fuel on it, but the bombs didn't explode. But the 25 millimeter, some of the 25 millimeter cooked off. I had
Ooh.
friends from my squadron from 211. They were at lunch out in town. They went, "Holy cow, we gotta go check this out." So they drove back there, and they could hear the rounds cooking off
Oh shit.
as they're near it. They're taking cover, and they're sitting there going, "This is bad."
Yeah.
But yeah. So Rusty lands on the roof of a house and
Oh, my
rolls
gosh.
off the roof onto the driveway. And then the search and rescue helicopter lands right in front of the house, throws him on board, and takes him to the hospital. So, Rusty
poor
turned out
bastard.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
he flew again. He's, doing great. I don't know where he is now. I've lost track of him.
But there was a FFPB. Okay, so there was an FFPB, and he was cleared to fly again, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was me. I was cleared to fly again because they had to look at
okay.
me. When there's a mishap, everybody
But now
involved.
wingman.
This is your
Needs to
second
be looked
wingman
at.
that you've tried to kill.
Second guy.
Yeah.
That didn't want to fly with me anymore. They couldn't
Yeah.
wait to get back to quit. And yeah. So
All
that's
right. So when you were still at HNHS there in Yuma, Lawman was a station CEO. Did you guys ever fly together?
Yeah,
in the
we did.
C-12?
He would fly the C-12, but he also flew over at the F-5s of the Aggressor Squadron,
Yeah.
and then he would also fly the Starbird. He would sit observer seat on the Starbird on the
Sweet.
Huey.
Sweet.
And
Notice
everybody's
he's
like,
not flying the Harrier much anymore.
even the helicopter guys were angry because they was like, damn, lawman like hovers right away. He just hovered. You give him the stick and he just hovered and he didn't deviate.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Is this it? Okay, you got the stick back."
Yeah. Is this it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lawman's
all there
not
is to
normal.
it.
You
Yeah,
know,
no,
he's
he's not. He's
a
not.
gifted aviator, and there's just no other way to say it. You know, you can make excuses. Well, then no, he's just that good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great, dude. Yeah.
So you got off active duty and ended up VMR in the reserves at
Yeah, I
Andrews.
went up in the VMR is the Marine Transport Squadron. It's kind of a VIP transport mission. It's
Okay.
so I hate to use the term Learjet, but so much of the civilian population understands Learjet. But this
Yeah.
is just a small private.
citation jet, right?
Yeah, it's a jet. It's a what do you call it?
We called it the Barbie jet, but
Well, their term's flotation, right?
yeah, flotation.
So they're a
Barbie jet.
Learjet, right? If Cessna made them,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
We
it's
used to
just
say,
a great flying airplane and very comfortable and nice for the passengers and everything. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So
And,
so
Replace the airspeed indicator with a calendar.
Yeah. Actually, man, this airplane,
oh
it had a lot of. I was impressed with the climb capability of this airplane.
Nice. Okay.
It had good motors on it, and it was the D model. So I think it's called the Citation 560.
Everybody
the
that flies
civilian
that
model.
airplane likes it. You know, the only
It's
people
a
that don't like
comfortable-
that airplane is when you're stuck behind them, and you
Trying to
you
get
can't get
somewhere.
around it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pull back
well,
to Mach
having-
0.7.
Having flown Learjets, I much prefer the Citation.
Oh, interesting.
You know.
Okay.
Well, Lear 35, 36. I can't speak to the the newer, later models, but the earlier 35, 36 are not. They're not
Not a pilot's
user
airplane.
friendly. They're not user friendly.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
All right,
But,
SoCrates. Here's the deal. You teased so there I was in Tripoli,
Yeah.
and I
to
thought
die.
we were all gonna die. So
Yeah.
this takes place. You're a contract pilot, or you're in VMGR at the time.
No, VMR, Andrews, doing a debt to the Middle East.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to say the base because I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm allowed to.
It's all right. Don't worry
it's
about it.
It's not a secret place.
Yeah.
It's been in the news a lot, but when I was in, they said you can't refer to where you are. You have to say you're in Southwest Asia.
There you
And
go.
I'm like, okay.
All right.
Anyway, we're there serving Central Command, so CENTCOM,
Right.
and that's our AOR. And we get a call one day and it says, "Hey, can you guys make it from Stuttgart to Tripoli in one leg?" And we said, yeah, we could do that. So how many people can you take? And we tell them. And they say, okay, well, we may need you to take a VIP from Stuttgart to Tripoli. And we said, well, we're not in your AOR. We're in Central Command. We don't belong to you. You can't tell us. You can't task us. And they said,
Hold
yeah,
my beer
we
and watch
understand.
this.
Yeah, exactly. And we forget about it because it's been like 2 weeks goes by, and all of a sudden we get a phone call that says, "Okay, you guys are on. You need to fly to Stuttgart. You're going to take a VIP down to Tripoli." And we're like, "Oh, okay." We start looking through the foreign clearance guides, and it turns out we can't take weapons with us. Even though our final destination where we're going to go is Tripoli, and we're flying the Central Command, so we took weapons with us, right?
Sure.
Right.
We had sidearms. We had our airplane, even though it's a civilian version of this airplane exists, the military version has decoy chaff and flares, and it has detection equipment for missile launches.
Yep.
So it can protect itself in some capacity if you buy into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like I guess it's like what the guys say. Wearing the poopy suit and flying over the North Atlantic, right?
That's right.
It's a prophylactic that doesn't really work.
That's right.
But So anyway, we wind up, we pick up the VIP, and we're heading down to Tripoli, and it's an absolutely gorgeous day. And we check in with Tripoli command, and we use our Marine call sign. They say, "Hey, UN flight 3, you are cleared into the airspace." And we said, well, we're not UN flight, we're Marine flight. But we're not going to argue this, so we'll just keep going. We'll
Sure.
stick with UN flight, and we go in, we land. The airport is interesting because there's grass growing up on the runway, and
Yeah, that's fun.
we taxi in, and we're taxiing to the VIP ramp. And as we're taxiing up to the ramp, we can see right in front of me. I can see there's like 20 people standing out there to meet our VIP. And I got my marshaller, and he wants me to turn 90 degrees to the right. So I'm coming in, and I'm going to make a right-hand turn. About halfway through my turn, the marshaller stops me, and he starts frantically waving his arms like this. And I'm like, what the heck? And I look over my shoulder, and there's a van headed right for us. Just with intent.
Yeah.
And I said, damn, they got us. Because if at that point, Benghazi, the events of Benghazi were only 5 months old, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was still fresh. And that's what I was thinking in that moment. And then suddenly the van just swerves for no reason about 2 feet from our wingtip and drives at the marshaller. And the marshaller jumps out of the way and gives him the, fungu. And the guy jams on his brakes and jumps out, and they start to go to fisticuffs. Well, I'm sitting there watching this like I'm in disbelief because, one, I'm still alive.
Only in Tripoli.
We're not all dead. And this is happening. And then I watched all the people who were there to meet the VIP. It looked like an MLB game where they're just clearing the bench and they're going to charge the pitcher,
Oh, wow.
Right.
And they take this dude, and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to get curb stomped, And they wind up pushing the guy back into the van and tell him to drive away. And I'm going, you're putting it back in the weapon? What are you doing? What's happening here? So he drives off, and then the marshal says, hey, come on back in, okay, continue to taxi. I finished parking the airplane. The general says, okay, see you boys in a few hours. And he's gone, and we're there by ourselves. Everybody leaves us. All that entourage left. They took off with the VIP, and we're sitting there going, what are we doing now?
What
We're
now?
sitting ducks in the middle
We're
of the
here for-
Tripoli airport.
yeah.
What now?
What now?
Hey, you used a term. I think we've covered this before, but let's just make sure we have it. AOR.
Yeah, area of responsibility.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
Oh man. So, but it wasn't over yet, right? You're sitting on the
No.
ramp in Libya. Then what happens?
No, we're sitting there, and here's another thing that's interesting: is we weren't permitted to wear flight suits either. We had to wear civilian attire,
Okay.
and but we're not equipped for. So we were going to the Middle East. What civilian attire did we take? I have a
Sure.
button-up shirt and some khakis. Not
Yeah.
like I don't have a suit and tie. I don't. So this should have been like a suit and tie kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it was definitely not. It was almost like t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. You know what I mean? It might as well have been.
Sure.
It wasn't, but now this dude in the van keeps driving by us and just giving us the stink eye. He's just driving and looking. He's just wishing us dead or gone or something. This isn't good. I don't like this. And all I'm armed with is a pocket knife. That's all I got.
Great.
And then somebody starts walking over, and they're wearing civilian attire, and they don't look like they are wearing any sort of airport attire or anything like that. They're not
Right.
in uniform. And he starts reaching into his shirt, like down his shirt. And I'm going, oh shit, here we go. And I said, hey, Hog man, we got company, look alive. And and I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to pull out a gun or
Or
something.
play dead.
And I'm like,
Live
I
or
have
play
nowhere
dead,
to
man.
go. My
Yeah.
options are, run, which is futile because there's nowhere to go, or like attack. So I got my hand on my pocket knife, ready to go, and he pulls out credentials for the State Department. And I go, oh, okay. He goes, hey, we're your security. We've been watching over there. We've been sitting over there in that parking lot watching you guys. And, we've been watching that guy. We wouldn't let anything happen to you. and
Laughing at you,
blah, blah, blah.
dumbasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
crazy
then,
dude in the van.
yeah, then his partner comes over and introduces himself, and then they take us to their truck, and their truck's got lots and lots of weaponry in there for everybody to
Nice.
take over a small country. And in the meantime, you get another guy showing up. He says that he's the chief of airport security. He's the commander of all airport security. And I say, and he doesn't know why we're there. He didn't know we were coming. And who were we?
Right.
And I said, I explained what's going on, and he said, oh, okay, well, it's very nice to have you here. Do you need anything? I said, yeah, there's this guy in the van. He's driving by. We're having some issues with this guy
Yeah.
in the van. He says, oh, I'll look into it. About an hour later, the guy shows back up, and he's got a tribal elder, this old guy, and here I am in sloppy civilian attire, being an ambassador to this tribe in Libya, right?
Yes.
And I don't know what's happening. I'm just very, very nice to meet you. It's an honor. Thank you for hosting us. And we get our pictures taken, and then finally the commander, who claims to be the commander of airport security, says, "Oh, we sent that man home. We found him. We sent him home." He's like, "You're okay."
Okay.
So all that was politics. And when Gaddafi fell, this tribe came down out of the hills, and they spent their blood and treasure taking over the airport. And when the legitimately recognized government was trying to take over, trying to take back control of
actually used their
infrastructure.
airport.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying to negotiate. And what happened was, the reason why that guy didn't get curb stomped was, if they had done that, the tribe would have shut down the airport, and we would have gone nowhere for about 2-3 weeks.
Okay, then.
So
Terrible.
yeah, it was.
Jeez.
Sometimes you have to deal with the politics of the place you're at.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Ain't that the sad truth? All right. Well,
Yeah.
we've come to the end of our time, so we need to add a couple thank yous in here. First and foremost, though, SoCrates, thank you to you for your service, for your time, for joining us.
Yes, thank you
today.
for your service.
Well, thanks for having me on, fellas.
We really, really appreciate it. A couple other thank yous we need to send out there. First to Brad Solcott over at BDS, Bravo, Delta Sierra, aviationphotography.com. He lets us use some pictures on our website. Guy has some amazing photos out there. So thank you to Chase Cole, one of our Patreon pilots, who is actually running the Facebook group for us for the most part. Chase, that's a huge help. I see you're on here as we're recording live. Really, really appreciate it. Doing the social media is just beyond my feeble brain.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, thank you, Chase. Yeah, I can't do that.
Exactly. And then, Fit, we're wearing these pretty cool hats. Where might one get a So There I Was hat?
At So There I Was /merch.
.com or dot. No, I'm doing
Is it?
So
All right,
there
wait.
was .us.
So There I Was .us/merch.
There we go.
Yes.
We got.
Yes.
We think we know where to go.
Hats, koozies, coasters, bikinis,
Bikini.
towels. Yeah.
Yeah. All good stuff. And if you got something you want us to get up there, let me know. I'll see if I can't work out a way to get it. I've put out some of the more popular stuff. Hey, send us a photo of where you are when you're listening to the show. We got one this week from One Eye. We're putting that up on our Facebook page. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you go to facebook.com/sothereiwas.us, that gets you to our Facebook page, and you can see where people are when they're listening to the show. We're up to 4 now, but we need a lot more than that. And hey, share the show, please.
Yeah, share the show. Share the show.
Tell 2 friends about the show. Let them know what you like, what you don't like, and what if there's something you don't like, go ahead and tell us. If there's something you do like, tell the world. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Tell Sticks what you don't like.
Right? Exactly. Sticks will handle it for you too. So anyway, then there's just a couple other folks we need to thank. First of all, backbeatmedia.com handles all our advertising for us. There's Dave Hamilton over there at Backbeat Media. He
Thank
has
you,
the
Dave
Backgeek
Hamilton.
Gab.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dave. Much appreciated. Then a couple gents who like to play music.
Those are the F-16 pilots that make the Air Force sound good.
Absolutely, they do.
Dos Gringos.
Thank you to the Dos Gringos. Much appreciate you letting us use your fantastic music, gents. So, in the meantime, everybody, until next week, stay safe and check 6.
See ya.
So there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. When you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Hold on. What do you say, Fig?
He said it's over.
That hurt.
There we go. And we're out. We're still live, but that's there. Here endeth the recording.
For some reason, that music, even in the beginning, was so faint and
interesting,
garbled. Did it sound okay to you, SoCrates?
Yeah, it sounded warbly.
I bet I know why it did.
I would classify that as warbly.
Warbly, yeah.
Okay. I think.
And I'm not seeing on my end, repeat, I'm not seeing the upload speed anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing that there's a problem with yours, SoCrates, so I'm trying to figure out what it is that's going on. I think, let me do this real quick. I'm just going to play that because we're already out and not recording anymore. Well, we're recording, but I'm going to cut it. How's it sound now? I think I know what I did.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was echo cancellation that caused it to go. So my bad. The good news is I have those soundtracks and I can put them back on there. So
Fix it. No worries.
yeah. So my only other concern right now is I am seeing low disk space from you, SoCrates. So we may not be able to get this audio. I'm concerned. Everybody, I'm going to start working on that right now. So I'm going to end our live feed. We'll be back at 1900 tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And here comes, we're out of here on the live show.